I I guess I'm doing another one of these. I'm not sure what I'm going to talk about. Did not plan this, but I kind of just go off the hip. So I guess I could shoot some things in my childhood. I was born premature, 2.5 months. I was born in a car accident. Well, it was induced because of the car accident. Uh, yeah, I had very poor vision when I was a kid, still now. But my family, I kept breaking my glasses. So when teachers would call me to the board, I could not see the board. Um, they just thought I was, I wouldn't say stupid. Maybe they thought I was stupid, but I literally couldn't see, so I didn't care. You know, a kid doesn't know what his own problems are. Couldn't see the board. Couldn't pay attention because the board looks like scribbles. Teachers never caught on to that. Me always squinting. They always noticed I never had glasses on, but they decided I wasn't paying attention good enough, so they diagnosed me with ADHD. Never took the medicine, but when I got a pair of glasses, I started improving in school. So just shows how the school that I was from was very neglectful. My stepdad, he was, I'd say, abusive to say the least, especially to my stepbrother. Um, he would literally go around the school screaming, "My dad's gonna beat me," and the school just called my dad and told him to calm down. My brother. So yeah, that school system sucked. Again, I always in school, awkward, weird, joked around, silent, but people enjoyed my company. Um, I got to sports. Really changed me. I look a little bigger now. Um, uh, but what really got me into working out, because I used to be oddly strong when I was a kid. Um, I would. I remember in sixth grade, sixth and fifth grade, we had this rope, and we had this like field day, and we had this big rope, and every time that rope came, I was one of the few kids to actually be able to climb the rope. Like they would always cheer me on. I had a enormous amount of upper body strength. Even back then, it was like just sorry, it's just weird. Just thinking, recounting that. So I get into middle school. You know, I didn't do anything. I think I tried soccer. I tried running. I embarrassed myself completely. That's a story for another day. Still haunts me to this day what I did in middle school. Oh my god, it's so embarrassing. Uh, then I joined. Uh, right as freshman year started, my friend Kevin he invites me to to play football. Right, uh, me I'm not like we're right at the end. School's starting in like a couple months. I think a couple weeks. Um, a couple weeks I think. So he invites me right, and I'm thinking, oh, we're just gonna play some regular street football. Didn't really explain what we're doing. No, we actually go to school and it's actual football practice, football tryouts. And I'm like, me and my friend, I'm not even gonna say his name because it's so unique. I'm not trying to expose anyone. But we go, we sign all the paperwork, get all the forms, get the sports physical, whatever. We're practicing. We're trying. I'm like, I didn't even that same day, I'm just like, I see my middle school vice principal. I'm confused. I didn't know anything that was going on. Because I started my day thinking we're going to play some street football, and now I'm doing football practice. Again, I was like 100 pounds soaking wet at the time. I had this coach. He was a wonderful coach, Coach Creed. Loved that guy. He was he only did it for 1 year, but he changed my life. We start practicing, training, doing everything. Hills were horrible. Get down, touch the toe line, get on the toe line, and just like, oh geez, I had PTSD from boot camp. We were talking about toe lines. Oh geez. So full gear, running up the hills, running down, gave me my initial start. Again, wasn't that big, but oddly strong for my size. 100 pounds squatting, 200 pounds. My bench was horrible, but my squat, my legs were strong. Wasn't that great with running, but my jukes were kind of good. Again, couldn't see without glasses. I also realized that I was very determined. How I knew was I got two sprained ankles at the same time. Yeah, two sprained ankles at the same time. This is how bad the school system was. One, when I was like, I don't know, both my feet hurt, my legs. I was like, something hurts. I go to the school nurse. I'm like, yeah, I can't walk right. It hurts. I'm in pain. And guess what the school nurse does? Give me some water and then tells me to lay down when I get home. Can't do anything to it. And this, like, I had sprained ankles for like I think a couple months, like 2 months probably. It took me one full month of walking around with sprained ankles to then go to the our sports uh nurse. He's like, yeah, you got two sprained ankles. I'm like, what? Yeah, you have two sprained ankles. It was like I've been hopping around, and you're thinking, oh, it's just like no one noticed. No, everyone noticed. I made this weird noise. I'm like, every time I walk, every time I get up the stairs, it hurt. It was painful. My mom laughed at me. She laughed at me every day. I mean, she would open the door. I'm walking to the school bus. She's going. She's going, bye, son, and I'm going. And then she's just dying. My stepdad was a dick, but sometimes there was funny moments where my mom was gut laughing. I mean, she was enjoying. That was pure 100% laughter. I will never forget the look on her face. It made my day thinking about it. But she was laughing so hard at me go down the stairs that she she made my stepdad laugh. I mean, like he looked at her. At first, he wasn't saying anything. He wasn't doing anything. Like he's just like he's just like sometimes it was just a regular day. I'm walking down the stairs. She's gut laughing. She's making him laugh while I'm like, to the fridge. She's just have crack it up. I will never forget that. Like I'm glad I made my mom laugh. I always bring it up, but it was a beautiful moment because sometimes pain can make a beautiful story, and that was one of the times. I enjoyed that so much. Uh, yes, I had two sprained ankles. My friends thought I was high because I was walking so slow in the hallway. I was like, no, I had two sprained ankles. They were like, really? Two sprained ankles? But yeah. Sophomore year, though, I transferred high schools midway. Um, my grandfather got really sick and passed away. I missed a lot of sophomore year. Sophomore year, I was out of school for at least 3 months because they didn't have my paperwork. They didn't transfer me right. I don't remember. I was just out of school. So when I finally got into school, I had to do catch up plus the work that they had, plus my grandfather, he was still currently in the hospital at the time, dying. I was failing. I was close to failing that year. Um, no one was understanding. I was devastated. Like they're adding so much, and this was a good high school, so it was just like there was very little black people. I'm in a new place. I lost my dog, and my dog was precious to me. She was precious in my life. Um, it was just like bam, 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 bam. So much stuff was going on, and I'm trying to be strong. I'm trying to be tough because my mom's going through her own thing. My her dad is dying in front of her eyes, and I'm like, I gotta be strong. Gotta be strong, male. Men don't cry. My stepdad, he's becoming worse and worse because like just lost. We moved from a house to an apartment. Paying all this rent. He's just being more and more unbearable. And then it's like dang, gotta keep it up, gotta keep going. So eventually, grandfather passed away. We we lose all his stuff. My dad, in one of his dickish moves, because before that, my uncle died, and he had all of his belongings, all of my the stuff that we had. A lot of my grandfather's stuff moved to the house where my uncle lived, but then my dad lost the house. Didn't tell us that he lost the house, so we couldn't move the stuff in time, and they sold our stuff. They sold my grandfather's stuff because of my dad. We lost my grandfather. We lost his stuff. We lost so much. Stepdad being a dick. Uh, my sister, she started, she was always acting foolish, acting crazy. She was going on spending sprees, spending a lot of money, like as a coping device. And we're just like, you gotta stop doing that. She was living. She came back to the house, and there's a whole history with that with her and my stepdad. I'm not gonna get into it right now. And it's just like crazy. It's crazy in the household. You know, my sister, she's feeling neglected. My little sister, and then I'm just trying to get through the day. Come back. I started getting real into music, just spacing out. Just sleeping. Started doing push-ups, but my stepdad, he was like, I don't care about you doing push-ups. You're just gonna be weak. Like he didn't care about my fitness. Making me always trying to belittle me in some weird way. I think I got my first job that summer. Started working 2 jobs, started working 3 jobs. Uh, the checks only added up to like 1,200, I think. All 3 jobs working together. I was tired all the time. Eventually, like some of them were part timers and some of them were just like seasonal. Whatever. I started working just one. Eventually, school starts back up. Um, start working this job. Get my driver's license. No, no. I worked that whole year. Nothing significant really happened. It was just like just things were just keeping getting worse. They just kind of like went downhill. There's a lot of things, but eventually, senior year hits. We move again to a better place. Oh yeah, well, we also had dogs that were on their leash, and my stepdad hated my landlord, and it was just they would get into it at all times, and we didn't have a doorbell in our apartment. So then we move, we get a new place. I get a car. That was the Taurus. That was my first car. It did not have heat. It didn't have heat, air, really good radio, rusted to hell. It was I had to take that. I started driving that to high school, right? Um, I also lived. I was out of district for my high school. I had to drive to high school. My mom forced me into remedial. Uh, yeah, remedial, not remedial classes. She forced me into special ed study halls, which I didn't want, but she was like, "Oh, you need it. You need to have it," which ended up, what caused me not to go into the Air Force originally because I had a special ed class and it was stupid. Never had a special ed class before, so it came back to haunt me. It was just a study hall. Didn't do anything. Kept getting in trouble for being late because I lived out of district. It took me longer to get there. It was freezing cold. It was around the time it was negative 50 degrees in Illinois. Um, I I did in that class was study Black history. Uh, we had some laughs. We had some jokes. I was still pretty skinny, still pretty small. Started bodybuilding. Started working out a little bit. Getting bigger. Didn't go to prom. Didn't have a date. Didn't think anyone liked me. I was the only black kid in school. Not the only one, but there was like 15 tops, and I just mess with my self esteem. Like I had some really good friends of all races, but like especially the black kids. They hype you up. they like I was weird, but they was like, you still black. It's like they understood me. Um, they understood that I was more seclusive, and I enjoyed it. They invited me and treated me right. You know, we'd have our things. Invited me to parties. Didn't like the parties, but still enjoyed. So anyway, we graduate. A few months after my graduation, my cousin killed himself. Last thing I told him was, "I love you, cuz. Talk to you later." Last thing I ever said to him. And um, it took me a while to. I don't think I ever really recovered, but it took me a while to start functioning again. I started working at this job. I tried my best at it, but I was horrible. They were too demanding. It was freezing cold. I worked in a freezer. Kept getting frostbite. I just quit. Didn't meet the hours. Didn't meet the things. It was horrible. Then, then and there, I made my mantra a mantra, a belief that I still hold to this day. That if you give your all and try with everything you hold dear, everything you give it 100%, and you still fail, and you still suck at it, then it wasn't meant for you. But that's the beauty of the world. That there's a million things to try. There's a million things to be good at, and there's a million things to suck at. And there's a million things to be mediocre. But hey, that means I got a lot of possibilities. I got a lot of things I could try. But I gotta make sure I can spare the time, the finances, the money to try to find it. That was also where I realized that I wanted money, not for power, for fame, for anything. I just wanted to have enough. I wanted it so I can have that safety net, that cushion. Because what happens with what I notice with black children and white children is our mistakes are held at a different standard. Like let's say you do crime as a white child in a decent household. Like let's say you're stealing or you're just looting or you're just being rebellious and you throw a rock through a window just because you're angry. A white child might get a slap on the wrist, might get told his parents, get community service, like or like talk and discuss, get a counselor or whatever. Black children are just seen as criminals. They're not seen as children, they're just seen as adults. Like their standards are so much higher. Like we go straight to juvie and it's like no one really asks us why we did it or what's going on or how we're feeling. We just get straight labeled criminals. I had, and there I was like, if I had money, I'd give black children the safety net. I'm not saying it's right to do bad things. I'm not saying go ahead, do bad things, I'll cover you. I'm saying that you will do bad things. You will do something wrong. We all make mistakes, but I won't let your mistake be your defining moment for the rest of your life. I won't let it just be that haunting mistake. Now, there's a difference between mistakes and straight up uh, purposely, attacking and doing something. There's differences, uh, but I'm not going to get into that right now. I'm still kind of discussing the history and background. I already talked about how where I'm at currently. I got here, but I think me personally, sorry, it took a lot for me to become self aware, to understand, to kind of build up the courage. I never talked back, never did anything. I'm not asking to be the to be a hero, but I always dreamed about being somewhat of a Malcolm X, a figure like that. Or I always just kind of thought I would die, and something I would said or something that said to someone would enlighten them to change, to want to change. I always had beliefs that like when I do good things, when I do charitable acts, when I go and help people, I'm doing the most selfish thing you could possibly do. I'm trying to make your day better so you can make someone else's day better so that person can make someone else's day better, and then make a good community, make a nice place to live, and they do something for me, eventually coming back, helping me. Because I want to live in a place where people just do things for people for the hell of it, and just buy people's food because they have the money. Or just like I see you hungry, or just like, hey, here you go, here's some food. But also, it's not just like certain areas. I don't want just one community. I want the world like that. I feel like people have communities like that, but at the sacrifice, other communities fall because you have that luxury. It's supposed to be like I am a firm believer. Like you can't have 100%. I don't believe that they can have 100%. I want to be proven wrong. I want someone to show me 100%, but you can't have 100% peace. But right now, it, I'd settle for like 80%, 75% peace. Right now, I feel like the world is at a cool 38 piece. At least America. It's like it's good for some people, but not many. I feel like people have it nice, but then it's just like people take uh, a basic human right and try to use it as leverage. Like in other places, you don't have it, but it's right that I should have it. It's right that anyone should have it. It's like water, clean water. Saying, "Oh, America, you got clean water, so you should be grateful for America." That just seems like a problem that no one should have. I feel like paying for clean water. If we have the ability to give every nation, every not even every nation. Let's just start with America, because Flint, Michigan. If we had the power to give every state clean water devices for free, pay it, it, shouldn't we? Like I'm not saying that everything should come free, but I'm saying basic necessities. Like you shouldn't use basic necessities as leverage. As this place is better because it's like I feel like especially for black people, it's like someone saying, "Oh, Lincoln freed the slaves," which he didn't, but I'd say like let's just say for the sake of argument that Lincoln freed the slaves. So I should be grateful for Lincoln for doing something that should have already been done, like that should have never happened in the first place. So it's like you kidnap me, then you free me, so you're the hero. Oh, it was right then, but now it's not right now. No, it was never right. That's the thing. You can't just pick and choose. You can't be the villain and be the hero. You can't do something wrong and then correct that wrong and then expect it to get praised on it. And I feel like a lot of people do that. That's America right there. Um, it's like having my people be degraded, subjected to horrible torture and malnutrition and lack of education, and then deciding, okay, that's wrong. And then 5 years later, after letting us try to survive and salvage on our own, with also torment and oppression still, going, okay, here, I guess here's some government funding. And then giving us like a year and be like, you still not on your feet yet? Come on. We gave you money. We already gave you money. You're all on welfare. Come on. How much more time do you need? I have 200 years of oppression. You gave us money that we have to pay back also and have to follow in a certain manner to also, deal with the emotional damage and PTSD. But still expecting us to bow our heads gracefully to you for doing what was essentially the least you could do, and then still act ignorant about it. People don't, like Malcolm X said it the best. You can't heal getting stabbed in the back with a knife if you still got the knife in it. If you're trying to act like you never did it while the knife is still in my back, how am I supposed to heal with the knife in my back still? And we know you did it. You looked at me and did it. It's going, oh, my ancestors did it. Well, it's like, it's one thing for your ancestors to do something. I'm not blaming you for your ancestors. I'm not blaming anyone for what their ancestors did. I'm blaming you for being successful for what your ancestors did, still profiting off what your ancestors did. It's like saying, oh, I'm sorry my ancestors took your land. Can I get the land back? And then we can just call it even. Actually, I got my wealth tied to it. Here's $1,000. This is what I took for the land. This is what my ancestors took for the land. Like, that's how it equates, and then you can never quite measure how much it's worth. Like, if we do get it back, if we get it back in bad condition, so it was definitely not what it was when you originally took it. You'll be like, here's the land. We stripped it of every nutrient in the place. There you go. Can't even use it. So yeah, that's the thing. And then we got that people keep telling me to like leave the country if I don't like it. Um, why? I don't understand this. It's like having a criticism of like your house. Like that's like if I rented an apartment and then the apartment had cockroaches and I go to the owner of the apartment complex, the building manager, and whoever else, and I'll be like, hey, there's cockroaches. I think we should do something about it and clean it up. And they'd be like, if you don't like it, leave. What? I'm paying. I paid my. I have the right to live here. I paid my rent. I do whatever. Uh, I also have the right to cleanliness and peace of mind. I know others don't have to deal with this. I feel like I shouldn't have to deal with this. We should clean it. Like having a criticism of a place you live in isn't bad. It's trying to improve the place you live in. That's about to end. So yeah, so yeah.